Pay close attention, because missing this crucial instant means surrendering everything that could be yours. This reality shows no compassion for your suffering. It remains indifferent to countless sleepless nights, filled with tears, the numerous occasions you stumbled and fell, or the endless promises you whispered to yourself about transformation coming with the next sunrise. The universe operates without mercy and refuses to pause its relentless march forward while you gather courage. When weakness overtakes you, others will use your collapsed form as stepping stones toward their own advancement. Mediocrity leaves no trace in the annals of time, and your identity will dissolve into forgotten obscurity. Envision this scenario carefully. You find yourself positioned at the center of an ancient war zone, completely surrounded by the lifeless forms of those who surrendered their dreams. These defeated souls continue moaning the identical justification that has echoed through centuries. Another dawn will bring renewed effort and fresh determination. Yet somewhere beyond the carnage stands a solitary figure who tells a completely different story. This individual has also experienced the sharp sting of betrayal, felt blood flow from wounds both physical and emotional, and tasted the bitter dirt of defeat. However, unlike the masses who remain prostrate in their failure, this warrior refuses to accept defeat as permanent. Rising with deliberate purpose, brushing away the debris of yesterday's battles from weathered armor, and continuing the relentless march toward destiny. When history scribes finally put pen to parchment, it will be this person's legacy that endures through generations. Not those who crafted beautiful speeches about potential, but the one who possessed sufficient courage to transform words into decisive action. The merciless reality cuts deeper than any blade ever could. You possess the potential to exist for another 4 decades, yet still depart this world having achieved absolutely nothing of significance. Consuming hundreds of inspirational presentations and motivational speeches becomes meaningless exercise unless genuine transformation begins in this precise moment. Without immediate change, you remain eternally enslaved to the destructive habit of postponement, trapped by behavioral patterns that drain your potential, and paralyzed by the imagined judgment from the eyes of strangers whose opinions hold no real power over your destiny. The great political philosopher Machiavelli understood human nature's deepest secrets when he declared that genuine transformation only occurs when individuals find themselves cornered with no escape routes remaining. Consider this exact moment as your personal point of no return, your final opportunity to break free from the chains of mediocrity that have bound you for far too long. Stop questioning why others achieve remarkable success while you remain stuck in the same position year after year. Cease waiting for perfect opportunities to present themselves at your doorstep with engraved invitations. Such moments of divine intervention never materialize for those who refuse to create their own momentum. True power gravitates exclusively toward individuals ruthless enough to seize control when the moment demands action. Observe the current landscape of achievement and success that surrounds us daily. Visionary entrepreneurs completely revolutionizing entire industries through sheer force of will and strategic thinking. Calculating political leaders commanding entire nations through careful manipulation of public opinion and strategic alliance building. These individuals never waste precious time hoping for miraculous interventions or waiting for permission from higher authorities. Instead, they bend the very fabric of time and circumstance to serve their ambitious purposes. This explains precisely why their names become permanently etched into the collective memory of civilization, while millions upon millions of ordinary people vanish into the silent void of forgotten existence without leaving even the smallest trace of their presence. Therefore, complete honesty with yourself becomes absolutely essential for any hope of progress. Calculate honestly how many occasions you have whispered those two deadly words to yourself in moments of weakness and self-deception. How many times have you provided convenient comfort to your procrastinating mind with the dangerous lie that perfect timing has not yet arrived for your grand entrance onto the stage of achievement? Confront this devastating truth with unwavering courage. The concept of tomorrow represents nothing more than an elaborate illusion designed to trap ambitious souls in cycles of endless delay. Tomorrow serves as the perfectly disguised executioner that has buried millions of potentially world-changing dreams beneath layers of comfortable excuses and rational justifications. If genuine readiness to ascend to your rightful position of power and influence courses through your veins at this moment, demonstrate that commitment through immediate action. Compose 2 specific words using only capital letters in the comment section below this presentation. No tomorrow. Write these words as a permanent reminder to yourself that the era of waiting, making excuses, and telling comfortable lies has reached its absolute conclusion. Only today holds any real substance or power. Only this precise moment possesses the ability to determine whether you rise to claim your destiny or remain forever buried among the countless forgotten masses who chose comfort over greatness. Have you ever pondered deeply why those who master the art of cunning and strategic manipulation seem to ascend the ladder of success with seemingly supernatural speed, leaving you trailing far behind in their wake? Why do individuals who understand the subtle art of flattery possess the wisdom to smile at precisely the right moments and maintain the political intelligence to shake hands with influential people, find themselves effortlessly granted positions of power and authority? Meanwhile, despite your superior work ethic, unwavering loyalty to principles, and demonstrably greater capability, you continue to be overlooked, dismissed, and ignored as if you were completely invisible. This phenomenon should not surprise or shock you in the slightest. Life has never operated according to principles of fairness or justice, and it never will. Existence has always functioned as an intricate game of power dynamics, strategic positioning, and psychological warfare. Within this complex game, those who understand the hidden rules that govern human behavior manage to survive and thrive, while the naive and idealistic are systematically eliminated without mercy or second chances. Picture this scenario with crystal clarity. You have dedicated 10 full years of your life to being the model employee that every organization claims to value. Each morning, you arrive significantly earlier than required, consistently departing well past official closing hours. Day after day, you bury yourself completely in work responsibilities, never voicing complaints or demanding recognition for your sacrifices. Then, one fateful day arrives when the promotion you have longed for and rightfully earned through years of dedication is handed without ceremony to a newcomer who has accomplished nothing extraordinary by conventional standards. This individual has not revolutionized company procedures or generated unprecedented profits. However, this person possesses the sophisticated understanding of when to display charm, how to offer flattery that feels genuine to those in positions of authority, and most importantly, creates the psychological impression within the boss that they represent an irreplaceable asset to the organization. Naturally, rage fills your entire being. You demand answers from the universe itself, questioning where fairness and justice have disappeared. But Machiavelli would lean close and whisper the eternal truth that fairness represents nothing more than a beautiful fairy tale, while power remains the only currency that truly matters in this world. Power belongs exclusively to those who master the art of leaving lasting impressions on the minds of decision-makers. This identical principle applies with devastating accuracy to matters of the heart and romantic relationships. You invest your complete emotional being, remaining steadfast through difficulties, making significant personal sacrifices for the happiness of another person. Yet despite your devotion and loyalty, they still abandon you without hesitation, pursuing someone who never initiates contact first, avoids making binding promises, and maintains an air of mysterious uncertainty that keeps them constantly guessing. That very element of mystery and unpredictability grants them tremendous power in the relationship dynamic. Love itself transforms into a psychological battlefield where power invariably belongs to the person who creates uncertainty and maintains emotional distance, never to the individual who remains loyal to the point of becoming completely predictable and taken for granted. Whether examining politics, business ventures, or even social media influence, the underlying rules remain absolutely identical across all domains. People do not naturally respect kindness or reward generous behavior. They only develop genuine fear and respect for those who demonstrate the ability to lead effectively, influence outcomes through strategic manipulation, and keep audiences perpetually on edge with anticipation and uncertainty. Examine the media moguls who shape public opinion across the globe. With a single, carefully crafted tweet or strategically timed video release, they possess the power to shift entire populations' perspectives and beliefs, while thousands of other genuinely talented individuals remain invisible, lost in the endless noise of digital communication. If transformation of your circumstances represents your genuine desire, revolutionize the type of questions you pose to yourself. Eliminate the victim mentality question of why they refuse to treat you fairly, and replace it with the empowering inquiry of how you can make yourself absolutely impossible to ignore or dismiss. Stop asking why others withhold love and affection from you, and begin asking how you can make them genuinely fear the possibility of losing you forever. Carve this fundamental truth deep into your consciousness with permanent ink. The world never rewards those who are technically the best at their craft or the most deserving by traditional standards. It exclusively rewards those who master the art of controlling how others perceive them, think about them, and emotionally respond to their presence. So where will your allegiance lie moving forward? Will you stand with those who cling to naive beliefs about fairness only to die, consumed by bitterness and resentment? Or will you align yourself with those who understand the true rules governing human nature and bend those rules to serve their will? If you have witnessed a cunning individual rise to positions of power while an honest person gets buried beneath the weight of their own integrity, leave a single word in the comment section below. Truth. Because that represents the raw, unfiltered reality that you cannot deny, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you feel. I understand completely that you have experienced devastating falls in your past. There were nights when you lay motionless in your bed, heart weighted down by unbearable heaviness, questioning whether sufficient strength remained within you to continue the fight for another day. There were periods when you invested everything you possessed into your work, your relationships, your dreams, only to have life deliver such a crushing blow that you no longer recognize the person staring back from the mirror. The friend you trusted with your deepest secrets betrayed that trust without hesitation or remorse. The person you loved with every fiber of your being abandoned you without explanation, choosing someone else over the devotion you offered. The career you desperately clung to as your identity and source of security collapsed instantly, leaving you thinking that everything meaningful in your existence had reached its conclusion. However, here stands the truth that cuts through all self-pity and victimization. Nobody in this world cares how many times you have fallen, how much pain you have endured, or how many tears you have shed in private moments. The world maintains interest in only one thing: whether you possess the strength and determination to rise again after being knocked down. Visualize this scene with vivid detail. A professional fighter receives a devastating blow that sends them crashing to the canvas, blood streaming from the corner of their mouth. The crowd erupts in a mixture of excitement and mockery, some spectators already writing them off as finished. The referee begins the countdown that will determine their fate. 1, 2, 3. The entire arena holds its collective breath, waiting expectantly for surrender and defeat to claim another victim. Then, despite the pain screaming through every nerve, trembling hands press firmly against the floor. A body that appeared broken moments ago slowly pushes itself upward with determination that silences the crowd. They rise, and in that transformative moment, the entire arena falls into stunned silence because everyone present understands that the person who just fell has now become more dangerous than they ever were before. Machiavelli recognized this psychological truth when he declared that the individual who has fallen yet still possesses the audacity to rise again represents a more frightening opponent than someone who has never experienced defeat. So how do you rise in a manner that makes the entire world tremble with recognition of your power? Begin with the weapon of silence. When betrayal strikes, resist the immediate urge to cry out in pain or rush to explain your position to anyone who will listen. Silence serves as the psychological weapon that creates the most unease in the minds of those who wronged you. Allow them to believe you have been broken while you observe carefully, remember everything, and prepare your response with calculated precision. View failure through the analytical eyes of a military general rather than the emotional perspective of a victim. Do not treat setbacks as personal tragedies that define your worth. Instead, approach them as battles that must be dissected for valuable intelligence and strategic insights. A competent general never wastes time blaming fate or external circumstances. They spread detailed maps across the table, mark each mistake with precision, analyze every move from multiple angles, then return to the battlefield armed with a plan that cannot fail because it accounts for every variable that caused previous defeats. Will you find the courage to examine your failures with such clinical objectivity? Transform your pain into high-octane fuel for future success. Remember with perfect clarity every scornful glance directed your way, every mocking word spoken behind your back or to your face. Let these memories burn inside your consciousness like an eternal flame, forcing you to train with double the intensity, work 3 times harder than anyone around you, and move forward in complete silence until the day arrives when they all bow their heads before your undeniable success. Contemporary examples surround us of entrepreneurs who experienced complete bankruptcy, lost everything they had worked years to build, then returned to the marketplace stronger and more formidable than ever before. Steve Jobs serves as the perfect illustration, cast out from Apple, the very company he helped create, only to return years later and transform it into a technological empire that changed the world forever. These individuals did not simply rise from their defeats. They rose with fire burning in their eyes and ice flowing through their veins, because the most dangerous adversary never represents the strongest person in the room, but rather the one who absolutely refuses to remain defeated regardless of how many times they are knocked down. Therefore, if you have ever fallen but choose to rise again, demonstrate that commitment right now. Leave 3 simple yet powerful words in the comments section. I rise. Because the moment you find the courage to write those words publicly, you are no longer the same person who began watching this presentation. You have transformed into a survivor, and survivors always represent the most dangerous individuals in any situation because they understand that they have nothing left to lose. Time functions either as a razor-sharp sword wielded with precision in your hands, or as the cold grave that will bury your dreams forever. You and the most powerful individual currently walking this planet both possess exactly the same resource. 24 hours, no more, no less. So why has that person successfully built a massive empire while you remain trapped in the same position year after year? The answer cuts straight to the bone with its simplicity. They wield time like a master craftsman handles a blade, while you transform it into a comfortable pillow that lulls you back into the sleep of mediocrity and missed opportunities. Picture this historical tale with complete clarity. Two princes born into the same royal family, both destined for greatness by birthright. The first prince lives immersed in luxury and comfort, feasting day and night, believing wholeheartedly that the throne will naturally come to him when divine timing deems the moment appropriate. This prince operates under the dangerous assumption that destiny guarantees success without effort or preparation. The second prince chooses a completely different path. While everyone else sleeps peacefully in their beds, he rises before dawn breaks across the horizon. He dedicates himself to studying the intricate art of warfare, trains relentlessly with sword and shield, methodically builds an extensive network of loyalty among influential people who will serve him when the time comes. This prince does not waste energy on boastful declarations or public displays of ego. Instead, he accumulates power in absolute silence, preparing for the moment when preparation meets opportunity. Years pass like pages turning in an ancient book, and when the empire begins to tremble under external pressures, the throne does not fall to the one who waited patiently for fate to deliver success. Power gravitates toward the individual who used every precious second to prepare for the moment when leadership would be demanded. Machiavelli understood this principle completely when he warned that time serves as the ultimate weapon for those wise enough to wield it properly, while simultaneously functioning as the grave that buries those foolish enough to waste it. If you fail to control time and bend it to serve your purposes, time will inevitably crush you under its relentless forward momentum. If you refuse to use time as your ally, it will use you as its victim. Complete honesty becomes essential at this point. Calculate how many hours each day you sell to social media platforms, meaningless conversations that add no value to your life, and the destructive habit of procrastination that steals your future 1 minute at a time. How many times have you wondered why your circumstances never improve without realizing that you are actively letting each precious day die completely in vain? The devastating truth that most people refuse to acknowledge is that your life has indeed changed during this period of inaction. It has simply changed for the worse, sliding backward while you convinced yourself that standing still represented a safe strategy. If you genuinely want to live with Machiavelli's strategic mindset, treat each day as if it were a critical battlefield where victory or defeat hangs in the balance. Morning represents your opportunity to seize new territory and advance your position. Afternoon demands the exercise of iron discipline and focused execution of your plan. Evening requires careful review of progress and sharpening of weapons for the battles that await with tomorrow's sunrise. A day without a clear, written plan represents a day you have already lost the moment consciousness returns to your mind. Ask yourself this penetrating question. How many times have you spoken those deadly words, "Tomorrow I will begin"? How many times have your dreams died slowly while you continued breathing, walking and pretending that endless time stretched before you? Look around at the current generation and observe the reality. Millions of people are literally burying half their lives under the hypnotic glow of phone screens, scrolling through clip after clip of meaningless content, only to realize too late that they have lost their only chance to build a meaningful future. Each passing day presents you with only two possible choices: advance toward your goals or retreat into comfort and familiarity. No safe zone exists between these options. The wise understand that just a 1% improvement each day means that after a full year passes, They have left everyone behind who chose to remain static. The foolish allow each day to be buried under the weight of old habits and comfortable routines, only to discover at the end of their lives that they never truly lived at all. Right now, place your hand firmly on your chest and feel your heartbeat while asking this crucial question. Who are my 24 hours actually serving? Empty habits that drain my energy, other people's dreams and agendas, or my own vision of what life could become? If you are truly ready to reclaim the sword called time and wield it with the skill of a master, make a sacred oath that will bind you to action. Leave one powerful vow in the comments section. Time is mine. Because only when you dare to declare war on wasted time will you transform each day into a battlefield where you do not merely exist and survive, but actively conquer and claim territory. There exists a truth that most people lack the courage to face directly. Forward progress becomes impossible when you remain chained to the ghosts of your past. You can work day and night with superhuman effort, draw up dozens of detailed plans and strategies, but if your heart continues to be haunted by unprocessed pain, by betrayals that still sting, by unresolved failures that whisper doubt into your ear, then everything you attempt becomes nothing more than dragging a corpse behind you while trying to run toward the future. Picture this scene from ancient times. A king who has just suffered a devastating military defeat that changed everything. His fortress lies in complete ruins, reduced to rubble and ash. His most trusted generals have deserted, abandoning their loyalty for safer positions with the victorious enemy. The opposing army celebrates their triumph while he sits alone in a cold, empty chamber, staring at the dried blood that still stains his battle-worn armor. In this moment of absolute defeat, he faces only two possible choices. Embrace the bitterness and allow it to consume him until death claims his broken spirit, or transform this defeat into a detailed map that will guide him to future victory that surpasses anything he previously imagined possible. And you, if you found yourself in his exact position, what choice would define your character? Would you allow pain to kill your spirit and bury your potential? Or would you use that pain to forge yourself into steel that cannot be broken by any force on earth? Machiavelli possessed deep understanding of human psychology when he declared that those who refuse to learn from failure will inevitably be buried by it. Failure never represents the end of your story. Instead, it serves as a coded message meant exclusively for those who possess sufficient courage to decode its hidden wisdom. Where did the critical mistake occur? Who played a better strategic move than you anticipated? What factors remained beyond your control? And most importantly, what crucial details did you fail to see that could have changed everything? Or did you simply bury the failure beneath layers of denial and distraction, only to repeat the exact same downfall when similar circumstances arose again? Most humans, when experiencing intense pain, react immediately with emotion rather than strategy. They crave instant revenge and immediate satisfaction, but that precise moment represents when you are actually weakest and most vulnerable to making additional mistakes. Machiavelli would remind you to maintain complete silence during these moments. Observe everything carefully. Allow your enemies to believe you have been destroyed completely. Then strike with devastating precision when they least expect retaliation and their guard has dropped completely. Do you possess the coldness necessary to swallow your rage, restrain your emotional impulses, and wait patiently for the perfect moment when revenge will be most effective? Look around you and observe the wreckage of those who failed to master this principle. How many lives have collapsed because their owners were too forgiving, too quick to trust, because they gave second chances to individuals who had already revealed their true nature? How many went bankrupt because uncontrolled greed clouded their judgment? How many lost everything they had worked for simply because they could not control their emotions when control mattered most? You witness these tragedies daily. From business people destroying careers they spent decades building through a single scandal, to celebrities ruined by one reckless moment when cameras were recording. The question that will determine your fate is simple. Will you learn from their destruction, or will you repeat their tragic mistakes? Ask yourself which wound from your past still drags you down like an anchor, preventing forward momentum. Have you ever dissected failure with the analytical precision of a military general? Do you possess the discipline necessary to transform enemies into teachers, to convert humiliation into fuel that powers your ascension? Answer in the comments with just one word that reflects your current state. If you remain imprisoned by past pain, unable to move forward, write pain. If you are ready to transform that pain into a strategic weapon for future success, write strategy. Machiavelli never viewed pain as the end of anything. To his strategic mind, pain represented only the beginning of a carefully planned counterattack that would ultimately destroy those who inflicted it. And if you truly understand this principle, then even your deepest wound will become the distinctive mark that makes you completely unstoppable. Dreams without discipline represent nothing more than elaborate illusions that provide comfort while delivering nothing of substance. A mighty army with superior numbers once faced a significantly weaker enemy, yet suffered a complete and devastating defeat. Not because they lacked superior weapons or advanced technology, not because they lacked courage or fighting spirit, but because they possessed no strategic map to guide their actions. They fought based purely on emotion, swung their swords guided by instinct alone, and when unexpected challenges struck, they collapsed instantly, shattering into a chaotic crowd of individuals with no coordination or purpose. An undisciplined army becomes nothing more than a mob, and human beings operate according to identical principles. You may possess unlimited ambition burning in your chest. You may dream bigger than anyone around you, visualizing success with perfect clarity. But if those dreams remain only in your head, never written down in concrete terms, never transformed into clear commands that you give yourself, they will wither and die like plants without water. Machiavelli studied Cesare Borgia extensively, known throughout Italy as the Wolf Prince for his ruthless effectiveness. Before each military campaign, Borgia wrote down every single detail that could influence the outcome. Who represented a reliable ally? Who might betray him when pressure increased? Which roads provided safe passage? Which roads concealed deadly traps waiting to destroy the unwary traveler? Borgia never acted on emotion or impulse. Every action followed a meticulously crafted plan that accounted for multiple possibilities. And it was precisely that iron discipline that made him the terror of all Italy, feared by enemies and respected by allies. So I pose this question to you. Are you living according to your own carefully crafted map, or are you merely serving as a mercenary in someone else's dream, following their directions while your own vision remains undefined? If untouchable status represents your genuine goal, you must impose unbreakable discipline on yourself. Transform goals from vague wishes into absolute laws that govern your behavior. And once something becomes law in your personal code, you no longer possess the right to negotiate with yourself or make exceptions based on mood or convenience. Picture this transformation clearly. Every morning when consciousness returns, in front of you stands not a vague whisper like wanting success someday, but a decree carved like a blade into solid stone. In the next 30 days, I will complete specific task X. If I fail to meet this commitment, I will lose specific thing Y. This is no longer a dream floating in the clouds. This is an order that you will live or die to execute with perfect precision. Have you ever written your goal on paper and pinned it to the wall so you see it every single day when you wake up? Have you ever placed a real, tangible price on failure that makes success the only acceptable option? Or did you just scribble a few vague lines in a notebook and forget them completely within a week? Human beings have mastered the art of forgiving themselves for broken promises, and that very self-forgiveness has murdered countless dreams that could have changed the world. If you don't create real consequences for failure, you will never respect your own promises enough to keep them. Even a king needs a council of advisors who will speak truth to power. You too need someone strong enough to oversee your progress, honest enough to remind you of your commitments, and ruthless enough to shame you when you break your own discipline through weakness or convenience. Look at professional sports, at successful startups that change entire industries. Not a single legend walked their path alone in isolation. They had coaches, mentors, accountability partners, people who dared to tell them uncomfortable truths and forced them to maintain discipline when motivation faded. And you? Do you have anyone like that in your life who will hold you accountable? If not, you will betray yourself repeatedly, making the same promises and breaking them in an endless cycle of disappointment. So complete one thing right now while motivation burns hot in your veins. Write in the comments the single goal you commit to completing in the next 30 days. Just one specific goal, not a list of vague intentions. That public declaration will serve as your vow, your declaration before the world that can witness your commitment. And when you take this step, you will understand a profound truth. Discipline is not chains that restrict your freedom. Discipline is the sword that cuts down everything standing between you and the power you seek. What would happen if today were your last day on this earth? If, when night falls and darkness covers the land, death comes knocking at your door, would you smile knowing you lived fully and completely? Or would you tremble realizing you wasted an entire lifetime waiting for permission to begin living? Picture this scene with crystal clarity. A general sentenced to death by his enemies, knowing with absolute certainty that at sunrise the executioner's blade will fall upon his neck, ending everything. All night he could spend weeping, begging for mercy, pleading for more time. But he doesn't waste a single moment on such futile activities. Instead, he writes his will with steady hands, drinks wine with his loyal men who chose to stay until the end, and when morning arrives, he walks to the execution ground with fire burning in his eyes. He dies, but his name lives forever in the stories told by those who witnessed his courage. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of others, though granted decades more time, live as if they have been dead for years. Machiavelli would remind you that tomorrow represents nothing more than an illusion created by minds seeking comfort in delay. The only thing that truly belongs to you, the only possession that cannot be stolen by others, is today. So why do you continue living as if you possessed endless time to waste on meaningless activities? Calculate honestly how many times you have spoken those deadly words, "Tomorrow I'll do it." How many opportunities have you murdered just to remain comfortable for one more day? How many times have you provided comfort to your procrastinating mind with the dangerous lie that you still have abundant time stretching before you? The truth cuts deeper than you want to acknowledge. You don't have endless time. Life never provides warnings before it steals your most precious possession, which is the opportunity to take action. The friend you spoke to yesterday may vanish today without explanation. The opportunity you reject today may never return in the same form. And can you be certain you'll even live to witness another sunrise? Today, you observe thousands of young people literally burying their days under the hypnotic glow of phone screens, scrolling through clip after clip of meaningless content, believing wholeheartedly that an entire lifetime stretches ahead of them like an endless road. Then one day, they wake up to discover that every chance has vanished. Every door has closed, and they ask themselves the question that haunts millions. Why didn't I start earlier, when I had the chance? If you truly want to live with Machiavelli's strategic spirit coursing through your veins, treat every single day as if it were your last battle. Every morning when consciousness returns, ask yourself this powerful question: if this were my last day on Earth, what would I do differently? And if your honest answer involves sleeping longer, scrolling online for hours, or waiting for inspiration to strike like lightning, then you have already lost the moment the sun rises. Each time you speak the word tomorrow, you are literally digging your own grave with words rather than actions. So I give you only one command that will change everything. Act now. Not 3 complicated steps, not 5 detailed plans, just one thing. The very thing you have delayed and postponed all this time while making excuses. Write it down with permanent ink. Start it immediately. Do it with complete focus. Because once you leave this presentation behind, that chance may never return in the same form. Complete honesty becomes essential. If today were your last day breathing, what would you do differently? Would you finish the book you abandoned months ago? Would you call the person you still owe important words to? Or would you keep drowning in screens, letting another precious day fade into nothingness while pretending that time is unlimited? Don't just think about these questions. Make a binding vow that will change everything. Write in the comments just 2 words that will serve as your oath. No tomorrow. That declaration will become your sacred promise, the oath that you will not wait one more day to begin living the life you were meant to live. Most people will hear these words and forget them within hours, but just a few special individuals will turn today into the turning point that historians will mark as the moment when everything changed. Look around you and observe the devastating reality. How many people exist as if they have already died inside? They wake up without purpose, go to work without passion, complain without taking action, then sleep without dreams. An endless loop of mediocrity that leads nowhere except to regret and bitterness. They accept mediocrity as unchangeable fate, no more dreams burning in their hearts, no more ambition driving them forward, only waiting passively for the end to release them from their self-imposed prison. And history will never speak their names because they chose to remain invisible. But you are different, and this difference will determine everything. You're still here listening to these words with attention and focus. Don't think it's a mere coincidence that brought you to this moment. This represents a signal from the universe itself, the moment when life whispers directly to your soul. Change now or disappear forever into the crowd of the forgotten. Picture this powerful scene. A wounded wolf, blood staining its fur, legs trembling from exhaustion and pain. The entire pack waits expectantly for it to collapse and surrender to weakness. But instead of falling as everyone expects, it rises with determination that shocks every witness. It lifts its head high toward the sky, eyes burning red with primal fire, and releases a roar that silences the entire mountain and everything living upon it. From that transformative moment forward, no creature dares to doubt its strength again. You are that wolf, whether you recognize it or not. You've been betrayed by those you trusted. You've bled from wounds both visible and hidden. You've fallen from heights that seemed impossible to recover from. But if you choose to rise right now, in this moment, you won't just survive the experience. You'll become the one the world must fear and respect. Machiavelli understood human psychology when he declared that people do not respect the gentle and kind. They only respect those who make them tremble with recognition of real power. Don't misunderstand this principle. To make others tremble does not mean blind violence or cruelty. It means authority, presence, the unmistakable aura of someone who cannot be ignored, dismissed, or pushed around. So what do you want your legacy to be? To be pitied as a victim of circumstances, or to be feared as someone who shapes circumstances? To be the one waiting hopefully for opportunity to arrive, or the one who forces opportunity to come running when summoned? Carve this into your mind with permanent ink. Power is never given as a gift to the deserving. It is only seized by those bold enough to take it when the moment demands action. Every action you take represents a fragment of power, stolen back from weakness, from fear, from those who once looked down on you with contempt. Today's world proves this principle clearer than ever before. An unknown artist with just one explosive song can shake the entire music industry to its foundations. A small startup with one bold idea can make a giant corporation tremble with fear of being replaced. Power has never belonged exclusively to those who have everything handed to them, but to those who dare to seize it at precisely the right moment when preparation meets opportunity. And this is the moment when you must choose your side in the war between mediocrity and greatness. After this presentation ends, there will only be two kinds of people walking the earth. The first group consists of those who leave this message, continue distracting themselves with meaningless activities, return to the comfortable prison of procrastination, and live their entire lives as shadows of what they could have become. The second group includes those who act now, who rise with purpose, who write down the oath publicly, who make today the irrefutable proof that they are no longer the same person who began watching this presentation. So which category will claim you as its member? If you are truly ready to begin the transformation, prove it right now through action rather than intention. Leave a single oath in the comments that will serve as your public declaration. I rise to rule. Write these words so that one day you can return, read them again, and remind yourself this was the day you changed forever. This was the moment you reclaimed the throne of your own life. Never forget this crucial distinction. The majority will fade into oblivion without leaving a trace. They'll listen with apparent interest. They'll nod in agreement, then return to mediocrity like moths drawn to familiar flames. But a few, just a few extraordinary individuals will turn pain into strength, silence into power, and today into the first step toward etching their name into history books. The final question I leave burning in your mind is this: will you belong to the forgotten many, or will you join the legendary few who refuse to accept anything less than greatness? So you've walked with me to the very end of this transformative journey that most people will never complete. We've marched together across battlefields littered with the fallen, staring straight into the truth that the world waits for no one and shows mercy to none. We've seen that power does not belong to the loyal and faithful, but to those who master the art of controlling how others see them, think about them, and respond to their presence. We've witnessed both the devastating fall and the triumphant rise that follows for those who refuse to accept defeat as permanent. We've learned the ancient secrets of how to transform time into a razor-sharp sword that cuts through obstacles, discipline into an impenetrable shield that protects your dreams, and pain into a counterattack so devastating that your enemies will regret ever crossing your path. But remember this fundamental truth that separates the successful from the forgotten. All of these powerful concepts mean absolutely nothing if you simply listen with fascination and then allow them to fade away like morning mist. How many people have trembled with excitement at an inspiring speech only to return the very next day to the exact same chair, the identical habits, the comfortable prison they call their normal life? How many potentially world-changing dreams have died before they were ever given the chance to live because their owner never possessed sufficient courage to act when action was required? What makes you different from the masses is not that you've watched this presentation until its conclusion. Millions of people consume content every day without ever changing anything about their circumstances. What will distinguish you from the crowd is what you choose to do the moment this screen goes dark. Will you close the browser, scroll to another clip that promises easy transformation, and let these words vanish like smoke in the wind? Or will you transform them into marching orders, your first deliberate step onto your own path toward greatness? Machiavelli possessed deep wisdom when he reminded us that the wise never miss the critical moment when opportunity presents itself. The foolish only weep bitterly once that moment has passed forever, realizing too late that their hesitation cost them everything they ever wanted. This moment represents your moment, and you must engrave this truth deeply into your consciousness. When you write in the comments, "No tomorrow, I rise to rule," you are not just leaving digital words on a screen. You are performing a ritual of transformation, burying your old self, who made excuses and accepted mediocrity, and raising a new version worthy of history's memory and respect. This presentation represents only the beginning of your education in real power. In the next installment, I will reveal strategies even more ruthless and effective, lessons that cut even deeper into human psychology, and psychological weapons that only a select few individuals dare to wield against their competition. If today you have chosen to rise from whatever defeat or disappointment brought you here, prepare yourself mentally and emotionally. Because next time you will not only learn how to rise from defeat, you will discover how to make the world itself bow before your will and acknowledge your authority. The transformation begins the moment you stop consuming and start acting. The moment you stop hoping and start commanding. The moment you stop waiting for permission and start taking what belongs to you by right of conquest. Your old life ends today. Your new empire begins now. The only question that remains is whether you possess the courage to claim your crown and wear it with the pride of someone who earned it through blood, sweat, and refusal to accept anything less than total victory. Write your oath. Begin your reign. The world is waiting to see what you will do with the power you're about to claim. History is watching, and it's time to give it something worth remembering. The choice that will define your entire future lies before you now. Choose wisely, because this moment will never come again.